Welcome to We Still Ain't Got Our Shit Together podcast, where we are a boundary free zone.
Man, and where everything goes. When I say everything, I really mean everything.
Everything?
Yeah,
Yeah,
everything.
but look, for real, y'all, I'm gonna be completely honest. One thing I hate is when another person feel like they're better than the next. I mean, we all still ain't got our shit together nowadays.
Plus, life is about constant elevation. And without it, we're dead.
And that's why our podcast is called We
Still
Ain't
Got
are
shit.
together.
Together.
For real.
Welcome back to another episode of We Still Ain't Got Our Shit Together podcast. I'm one of your hosts, John Wayne Willis Jr.
And I'm your girl, Manuela Cook.
Now, we are only 2/3 of the crew today. Our boy out here working, doing what he got to do to feed his family. Now, today's episode is going to be, is blood thicker than water? Dun, dun, dun. I think this is one of those age-old questions, right? Where, people always bring it up. Oh, but family, we blood, we this, we that. But tell me what you think. Getting started with, is blood thicker than water? Tell me what you think.
I believe blood is thicker than water to an extent. With blood you have history. You're aware of their character, you're aware of like some moves they may make in regards to you and how they'll have your back. But at the same time, I feel like when it comes to water, you have those people who are like, can be your ride or die. Like, it don't matter what you're going through, they're gonna see you through it and they got your back to the end. So I feel like it depends on the relationship that you grow with those people who are blood as compared
Okay.
to those who are water.
So I'm gonna make a statement, right?
Mm-hmm.
Water's thicker than blood. What
Okay.
is blood made of?
Iron.
And what
I
else?
read so.
And what else? And the human body 75% water.
Water, yeah.
So blood and water are made of the same. Blood just comes out a little bit thicker in consistency.
Yeah.
But water is the life's blood. You feel me? It's life's blood, water.
I feel it. Okay. I see where you coming.
Now-
I see where you're going with that.
Now, I take a couple of ways when I look at it.
Mm-hmm.
To me, the strongest relationship in your life should be the person you choose to spend it with, right?
True.
That's automatic water.
Facts.
Quench my thirst, baby. Quench my thirst. All I'm saying is, to me, the power of the choice makes the power in the relationship. So I think it kind of mirrors both perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
Because to me, when I hear that statement, blood is thicker than water, I always feel like it's coming with some type of, but I need help. But
Usually.
we're family.
Yeah.
Family don't let people down. Like, that's all I hear when I think about those statements, right?
Yeah.
Because even if you're blood, I mean, I still think you got to choose each other at some point, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yet again, is life's blood, aka water, thicker than the blood in which you come from? I don't know, man. I think it's a interesting concept, but like, I'm ready to dive into it though.
Yeah, let's dive in.
Okay, so do you think that there's a difference between relative and family?
Like, what do you mean? Like, elaborate on that.
Okay, so when we think of the word family, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you think of the word relative.
Right.
What's the difference?
Well, we usually call our family our relatives because they're relative in our life. You know what I mean? So, I mean, but then you have those people who are your friends and they're usually there more anyway. Like, you talk to them more than you would your cousin, and you're telling them all your secrets and what happened today, and the
Mhm.
ones who are considered our family, our blood, they're not in the loop on what's going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think there's and plus I think too, like when it comes to our family, there's so much opinions and so much, expectations from them that if you disagree with them in any way, it's kind of a taboo type of thing. Like if you have a different religion than them, it's taboo. If you don't do A, B, and C in the right order, it's a situation, it's a problem.
Yeah.
So, I mean, now when you put it the way you put it about water and how water is mostly the body, like 75%, it's all making sense now. I get it.
So it's gonna be interesting here, right? So
Yep.
for me, when I look at the word family, I think we
Hmm.
use it in the wrong context completely.
All right.
I feel like we use the word family in the wrong context. Family is familiar.
Yeah.
Who do you keep around you? That's family, honestly. Relative, you don't really have a choice.
True.
Just because we're born of a particular group of people don't mean we're gonna end up like, you know what I
Like
mean?
that.
Taking
Right.
C's. I mean, it's just a process. So I take me and my wife and our upbringings as a constant. I remember when we first like got together, she was like, "Oh my God, like you have so many friends." And I'm like, well, my friends are like my family. Like I didn't grow up with a ton of cousins in my age range, right? I didn't grow up getting to hang out with a ton of people in
Right.
my age range to go play around with and have fun and do all that. And I really created bonds, friendships, like lifelong, like brotherhoods. Like, we've been at it since the sandbox
Right.
or, and she was like, I didn't really make friends. Like, I always had my cousins. And I said, I'm going to say something about that, right? I
Hmm.
said, are you as close to every single one of your cousins? Like, think about that. Yeah, you
Right.
had your cousins. A lot of you guys are in like that 5-year age gap. Like everybody could have played together, right? In that
Hmm.
5-year age gap. We're talking about maybe 10 kids, like in that 5-year age gap.
Right.
Like, all y'all could have played together. But are all of you, in that same closeness? And she was like, nah. So I said, you to think about it. You had to choose each other. And I think that power of choice when it comes to how thick you become, like that consistency of blood, taking the water, adding the ion, because water ain't
Hmm.
always red. I mean, blood ain't always red because as
Mm-mm.
it flows through our veins, baby, it's blue.
Yeah.
It's blue. And it's not red until oxygen hits it. You feel me?
Right.
And so at the end of the day, when we take a look at how we view a lot of this, we're putting ourselves in perspective and saying, hey, you know, is that power of choice more important than who you come from? Because even though you may come from the same blood, for you to be friends, you have to choose her and she
He
has to
has to
choose
choose
you.
you. Right.
And so, yet again, it's still that life's blood that comes to play, which is water. That water comes right into the perspective to say, hey, I know that you're, my cousin and you're my cousin, but I don't really rock with you as much. But her,
That's true because for me growing up, I kind of feel your wife a little bit on that or whatever, because growing up, like me and my cousin, we were like this. Like
mm,
it was more than just one of like two of us. It was like four. Like I have a big family.
yeah,
And a lot of us are around the same age. Because my aunt had like 9 kids, right? And the other had five, and the other had like six. So, so
that'll never happen again. People ain't having kids like that no more.
nope. But for real though, like we were really, 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 really close. Like we lived here in Atlanta, they were in Charleston, South Carolina, and we literally would go to them and stay the whole summer. But as soon as my grandmother died, all of that stopped. So, but then it made me wonder, was it really just us there because we had no choice and that's who we were told to be close to? Or, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? Because if someone significant to us dying did not bring us together but separated us, then that says a lot to me. You know what I mean?
Sometimes you got like glues, right? You got glue people
Mm-hmm.
and everybody close to grandma. So
Mm-hmm.
everybody's congregating around grandma. And then when
Exactly.
you think about how you said earlier, spending all your summers out there, one big thing I talk a lot about with one of my really close friends was proximity, right?
Right.
So as you're growing, like you create relationships based on proximity.
True.
So, throughout the whole summer, that's 3 months. Y'all are out there running around playing at grandma's house, eating grandma's food. Like, you know what I mean? Like, grandma is now that surrounding piece, right? So everybody's like, oh
Right.
man, like my cousin, that's my girl. Like, my cousin, that's my guy. Like, my sister, that's my girl. My brother, that's my guy. But
Right.
a lot of it comes down to proximity. And as you get older and you get to go out into the world and see, the differences, you got like-minded people, you're meeting people that think more like you or you think
Right.
like them, you're cultivating different views and cultures for your life and what you want, and then you're gravitating towards those other people.
Right.
Now, when proximity no longer matters, then what do you have? And I think a lot of people
Exactly.
don't really view that perspective when it comes to friends or family.
They don't. We don't really consider those things until something does happen and then we're not there no more. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's
To
real.
it to me it felt devastating because I'm like, wow, like we were so close. Oh my God. Like so close. But then now it's like when you don't have that family no more, now it's like, dang, now I gotta find some actual friends.
I gotta go wade in the
What?
water.
Yes. But now it's like I'm so like I love people. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
you have people who dislike people. I'm not that way. I understand that I think people are very interesting beings because we go through so much and we become what we go through. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it makes it very interesting to get to know people and try to build those new relationships with people. And I don't know, I think it kind of pushes the idea of family away and
Mm.
makes friendship more the ideal than, than family, at
I
least to
don't know.
me.
I think, like I keep saying, like I keep going back and putting what the with the with the viewpoint of saying
Hmm.
what was meant to be, right?
Right?
Were you meant to literally stay around the same people that you birth? Like, you know what I mean? Like, yes or no? Like, or were we meant to go find a good thing? Like, I keep thinking about it like in a perspective. No relationship should be stronger than the person you choose to spend the rest of your life with.
That's
Like,
true. That's very much
now,
so true.
as I look at that, you go out and you choose somebody not of blood. Like, you see what I'm saying? You go choose
Right?
somebody not of that, but um based on that commitment, based on that bond,
Hmm.
based on the choices that you guys are making, you are now saying, hey, you're more important than my mom. You're more important than my dad,
Yeah.
my sisters, my cousins. You are the most important human being to me
True.
on planet Earth. Now, with that being said,
Hmm.
I take friendship and familiarity and I consider that family. Like, okay, yes, my mother, my father, my sister, my cousins are family because I chose that, right? We chose bondship. You see what I'm saying?
Right?
You have a lot of people who don't even rock with their own family per se because you can't get like-minded. You see what I'm saying? And so
That's true.
when I take the word family and I take how we think about where some of the strongest bonds in my life are, right?
Hmm.
Like if I wanted to go do some crazy shit today, and like,
Hmm.
hey, I'm riding on somebody. I don't know if it's family that's riding with me. Like,
Yeah.
like the person's going to jail with me. He wasn't born of the same blood.
Mm-mm. That's
That's a
facts. That's
different
facts.
perspective. That is such a different perspective because now we're sitting here and I'm looking and I'm thinking about it like, yo, like we've really made a bond where we're gonna make some decisions that can f up our lives for
Right.
one another. That's thick.
Right.
That's thick. Like, so I just don't know.
I would say for me though, when it comes to my brother, you know, you met my brother. He was on the
Yeah.
podcast the last one. I will say he's turned into a friend because
Supposed to do.
yeah, and it's like out of all my siblings, I feel like I know like he'll have my back 100%. Like no doubt, like literally if we rob the bank, like he'll be like, "Oh,
I know Will, man. Don't worry."
yeah, like I got your back, I got you. He'll take the car and everything." But can I say that for others? You know what I mean? Like, but then I got my husband, who is my best friend, and it's like we've had those little scenarios, which I'm not going to explain and talk about, but we had the little getaway situation happen and stuff like that. But it's like those are the type of things I look for in people, and he wonders why I'm so picky. I'm very picky of who I let in my circle. I don't know if it's a Scorpio in me or what, but it's an aura thing, and it's like I gotta know that if something go down with me, and I know I'm gonna be famous one day, and you gotta have my back, like for real, for real.
Like I might lose my mind and be cutting people. You feel me?
Like what you gonna do? I start cutting people up, like
knock you out and be like, "What the hell is you doing? Get her out of here! Get her out of here!" She cutting people up.
Yeah,
you gonna say it was a white lady named Karen? It's like,
no, real talk.
But I mean, like, it's interesting though, right? And I think it begs to differ, right? Is friend better than family? The terminology, like, because we talked about it in the episode where we talked about hard conversations, right? And I spoke about growing up with a father that used to say, I'm your father, not your friend, right?
Yeah.
Now I know when you look at perspective, it's like, okay, you are here to raise me up as a man and be everything I can be, right? But at the same time, like by you like separating the two between family and friend, it made it hard to say, well, okay, as I'm older now and I just need some advice, like, I don't know how to come to you. I don't know how to be in a situation to have a conversation with you about what's going on in my life.
Right.
Because it seems like when I met a friend, they were able to sit down, have conversation. It feels like less judgment. It feels like we're on plateaus together. Like we're there. So when you take a look at the concept of friend and family, maybe friend and water should be more perspective and together, right? So like I like that's the flow. Water is your friend.
Yeah.
But is family now the blood, right? Like, so I'm saying, so you can have a stronger bondship if you are blood and friend together, right?
True.
Or friend and family together, or family friend,
whatever
you want to call it. But when you look at that perspective, I just don't know, because I do believe in families, you make friendships, right? In blood, you make friendships, and those are the people that stay closest to you,
right?
Like, because you could look and see the same way. When you can cut off your sister or your brother or a parent or whatever, that blood ain't thick, bro.
No, it ain't.
It got real thin, real quick.
Took too much aspirin. Then that blood out real fast.
It got real thin, real quick. So, I mean, when you have those conversations and you sitting there and you thinking about it, like I think about like our kids, like how important is it going to be? Like, yo, how you choose your friends is going to matter more than the people that are here in this proximity. It's going to matter more than just Susie being your cousin. It's going to matter more than just, Bill being your brother.
Yeah.
If you don't bang with Bill, even though Bill's your brother, you ain't got to bang with Bill.
Right.
And so I think that's going to be an interesting fact. Like, how do you think that we portray that to our kids going forward? Like, how do we put that in perspective to say, hey, when you're making choices for the people that are going to be in your life, these are some of the standards. Like, just because they're your cousin doesn't mean they got your back. And
that's
just
true.
because they claim to be a friend doesn't mean they're going to be as fluid and flow as water. Like, how do you think you're going to create those atmospheres for the girls and your son?
Well, we already like back when we was living in Cleveland. My
Mm-hmm.
daughter, this is when they started school, and because they're only 8, 7, 8, and 9, right? So when they started school, like my oldest daughter, she's a social butterfly. Like she's like her dad. Every person she meets, she's cool with them. You know what I mean? Like that's her friend
That's my
already.
homie,
Like
yeah.
5 minutes later, oh, that's my
Oh.
best friend, mommy. That's my best friend. But you have my other daughter who's like me, the middle one. She's reserved and she watches people. Then she'll, some people got to come to her to make them be her friend. You know what I'm saying? And then you have my son is like, he's shy. He don't play by his sisters. And it's like I'm teaching them to be careful. I don't have
Okay.
to preach that so much to my middle daughter because she's already careful. I'm more teaching her how to be more open and fluid. But with my oldest daughter, I'm telling her like everybody's not your friend. Like this girl was just calling you names and you said she's still your friend. Like that's not okay. So
Yeah.
it's with her because she loves people. It's the idea of me letting her know like everybody's not going to have your back. Like everybody's not going to be there for you. You have to really decipher who's for you and who's not. And it's going to be a learning process for her because even with her dad, he still doesn't decipher much. He just cool with you. Oh, we're gonna kick it for a while and that's it. And it's like, and I'm telling him, but hey, wait a minute. You got to make sure this person's gonna have your back and nothing goes wrong because say something happened, then what? Because you don't know them. You know what I mean? And it's the
I
same with my daughter.
I think it's interesting, right? So
Yeah,
I'm very much a people person,
yeah, you
but
are.
I'm huge on separating the terminology between friend and acquaintance, right?
Uh-huh.
So that's something I've talked to my daughter about because me and my daughter are very similar in a sense of being people
Hmm.
like persons. So I've always said, everybody's not your friend, but
Right.
everybody's your acquaintance. And you
True.
can have conversation, good talks, whatever. But when it comes to being an acquaintance and a friend, like there's still a level of barrier for me that's in that perspective. I'm not gonna be
Hmm.
like if you're acquaintance, hey, why don't you just come kick it in my house today? No, that's not okay. But
Yeah.
if we're gonna go meet, we can go grab some lunch. If we might have something in common, so we're gonna go talk about some sports. But I may leave it at that. Like we're not gonna have the conversation. You don't need to know how my wife and my daughter's doing, how my mom and dad are doing. You know what I mean? We're not gonna go that far. Now, granted, if things escalate there and you create friendship, it's just something that happens. Because one of the things I also told her is you're like there's no measure to trust, right? There's no measure to create how the friendship happens.
Right.
It's going to be organic. And so when you look
Hmm.
at friendships and when you look at the people that you're choosing, it's very watching character traits, watching how people move, and then allowing yourself to flow is going to be very, very important because we start to trust just by doing shit.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? There is no direct measure. Like, there was no, hey, Ariel, man, I'm gonna give you this test today to figure out if I'm gonna trust you or not. No, we just
Right.
gonna do some fuck shit and see what
Right.
happens.
Right.
And so next thing you know, ain't nobody told on you, ain't nobody put your business out in the street. You've been able to have a conversation. You shared something that you probably don't share before, and then you realize that there's no judgment. This person is here for you, and a friendship and a bondship begins to create, and it just happens organically.
Right.
Now, I think you can understand when you figure out if you try to say something, right? Because I think that that's where the point is. So, like, as my daughter gets older, one of the biggest things for me has been like, she likes to hang out with older kids. Her cousins are older, and she's around them a lot.
Hmm.
She's pre-pandemic, but socially a pandemic baby, if that makes sense, right?
Hmm.
So, for the last 2 years, that's age 3 when you really are cognitive and able to start talking and being cool with other kids.
Yeah.
The
Right.
pandemic hit, right? And then
Mm.
now we're in school. So now that we're in school, it's like, well, hey, I'm Morgan, I'm this, I'm that. And I never want that position to end for her, right? Like she is that social butterfly. She is smart, she is cool, she's very self-aware of herself, which is
Yeah.
really good. So, you know, you can end up giving of yourself a lot, right? So you think somebody's your friend
Mhm.
or whatever. So I remember like this older girl were at the park, and oh, you know, she rides my bus, Dad. She's my friend. And you can kind of tell she was looking like, oh, I don't want to play with this little kid, right? And I told you,
Mhm.
we went to the park, and there's a bunch of white kids, and I'm having like anxiety right now. And I usually don't get anxiety attacks. Like, I'm sitting there like, did we move to the right neighborhood? There ain't nothing but white kids out here right now. I know it's diverse. You know, none of the black kids be at the park. Like, what the hell? Like,
What park they be at?
huh?
I said, what park they be at?
Man, I don't know. I gotta find out. But this is the park like in the neighborhood, right? So like we're in our actual neighborhood, and there's a nice little park right there. And I mean, it was just that it could have been that day. It could have been just too many white kids for me, right?
Yeah.
And I was just like, do I let go and let her go play, or do I just hold on to her now? Like, you know, that was my feeling at the time. And she's just like, oh, Daddy, just let me go play. So I'm standing there, I'm looking like a hawk, like if one of these white kids do something
Sweating.
and I was just sitting there like, bro, like I have some unresolved issues myself at this moment, right? And so, but at the same time, when I looked around, like I don't have any white friends.
Same.
I have white acquaintances, right? Like,
Yeah.
I see you at work, I say, what's up, how you doing? And I keep it moving. But I mean, we're not fit to go hang out and go watch Batman or whatever.
Right.
Like, I ain't got your number in my phone to call you. Like, you know what I mean? There's so many different perspectives that come to it. And I'm sitting there and my daughter's like, okay, you know, I want to go play with these kids. Like, whatever you're going to tell me, I want to make friends. I want to be this. I want to be that. And I'm sitting there like, how do I deal with this? How do I deal with this? Like, what if she really ends up having like a really close Caucasian friend?
So you kind of like put your fear onto her in a way.
Okay, no, but I did let her go play. See,
Okay.
I did let her go play. I'm
Okay.
just suffering inside at this moment. You know, like it stuck with me. I'm sitting there like,
You so silly. But it's all environment. You know what I mean? So
Nah, it
if you weren't raised in an environment where it was multicultural, like black, white, Asian, Hispanic, mostly black, then that's who you're going to
feel comfortable
feel
around.
comfortable around. Yeah. For me growing up, we lived all over Atlanta, like outside of
Yeah.
Atlanta, Dallas, Georgia, College Park, Forest Park, Riverdale. Like we lived all over. And literally there's different people in those areas. And it was hard for me to make friends because we moved so much. But I've had the Mexican friends, the Vietnamese friends, you know, the Indian friends, and the majority of them that I stuck to were black.
See,
But
it's
you know,
that's crazy though, right?
yeah.
Like I grew up in an all white neighborhood. Like that, I'm
Oh,
so
for real?
sincere. Yes.
Oh, you DC, so
I mean, I grew up in an all white neighborhood. Like we grew up on like the more affluent side of town.
yeah.
Like on my block, we was like the only black family on my whole block.
Oh man.
But like there was other guys. I mean, like we would get up, maybe get some shots up or whatever. But like as I got older, you know, I was hanging out with people that looked like me. Like when I would go play ball, I'm at the park with people that look like me. When I'm making friends, it's with people that look like me.
you. So let me
So,
ask
like,
you this.
Go ahead.
Let me ask you this. So what's the cause? Like what's the reason? You say you grew up around, you know, you only put black people on the block. So what was it that caused you to be more
I
clean
grew
to
up
your
with white
culture?
people on the block, and I didn't hang with them. So even though we were there, I wasn't there. Like if that made sense, right? So
No, that makes sense.
even for me, like saying, okay, I grew up in downtown Silver Spring, and you know, my house, I remember kid, like so if you leave my house and you went to the right, there's a guy played ball with Eric on that side. You leave my house and you go to the left, there are these two brothers, Coffin brothers, Mike and Chris, right? And we would like shoot together in the neighborhood. Like everybody had a basketball court outside their house, like, you know, it was affluent. Everybody had a court. So like you would go somewhere and hoop, right?
Right.
Now, when I got of age, like we're talking about maybe like 12, 13, I was allowed to ride my bike to the other side.
Mm-hmm.
I'd hop on the park, boom, like as soon as I could leave, bam. But my parents' circle where we were around, who they hung out with, they had kids our age, all black. But of course, you're living in this area, but you're not really making friends in this area.
Right.
I went to private school most of my life, and those were black private schools.
Okay.
Like, so
That
you
makes
went to
sense.
school with all black people. Your parents hung out with all black people. You hung out with all black people, but you lived right here.
Right.
But there was no real interaction. Like, I learned how to code switch. Don't get me wrong. Like, you know, parents worked good jobs. Dad's like, you know, we talk you in there. Don't be in here talking all crazy. Da, 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 da. Well, how you
Right.
doing? My name is John Wayne Willis Jr. I'm here for such interview. I'm going to be very articulate today. And da, 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 da. You just have that whole conversation
Yeah.
where you can do that. But at the same time, like my entire years of forming friendships and understanding how I was going to pick people was dealing with all black people. So like
Right.
that perspective, like there was no commonality. Like, okay, if she's playing basketball with some white girls, right?
Mm-hmm.
Basketball is your commonality to bridge culture.
Yeah.
Just being at the park to play, there's no bridge of culture.
Right.
And so I'm sitting there and I'm looking at this and I'm just like I could not figure out how to bridge the culture because it's the same for her right now.
True.
It's the same for her. Like when we go hang out with people, like we're going to a barbecue later today. Ain't no white kids gonna be there.
Right.
Like, so, you know, it just felt weird, but at the same time, like she's so optimistic, she's so caring and loving and looking at that perspective where it's like she's gonna be able to make friends with anybody, you know, she's gonna have that ability. And with her going to public school instead of like how I did, going to a predominantly black private school from kindergarten until my 7th grade year where I went to public school for like a year for educational help, because our public school system had better help than the private school systems did. So, I mean, I had to go to speech therapy and a couple of things like that during the time to deal with my speech impediment. But that was the first introduction to like, the diversity was my 7th grade year.
Yeah.
First introduction to diversity is I'm 12 years old, but I'm playing on the basketball team who's predominantly black. Friends that I met going to the other side of the park still go to the school. So now I'm still, even though it's diverse within the process, but I'm closed off to the other races because I'm only hanging out with my guys who are all black.
Right.
Or Hispanic.
Right.
So that was it, right? Like we didn't have anything else. Like I didn't know anything else. I've never really even thought about how I put that in perspective, right? So I'm thinking there and I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh man, my daughter really wants to make friends. That's what's real big for her right now. She wants as many friends as possible. And I'm like, that's such a healthy place to be.
Yeah.
But I also didn't know how to help navigate her in that perspective that day.
Oh shoot, John, I'm so sorry.
What?
Go ahead.
What
I'm sorry. Something just came to me. Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead, talk.
I forgot my son had karate practice.
Oh, you got a rock?
Practice. Oh my Lord.
You just got the text like, what you doing?
Oh my Lord. Okay.
Did you just get the text?
No, literally when you was talking, it hit me what you were saying and about making sure your daughter has the friends and all this stuff. I'm thinking then my son's karate came to my head with the kids his age. I'm like, oh my Lord. Go ahead. I'm so sorry.
Is he supposed to be in practice right now?
Yeah, well, it's over now. It was at 9:30.
He totally missed karate.
He did.
It's okay. Tell him we're gonna teach him crazy. He don't need no karate. We're gonna teach him crazy.
I'm sorry, I had a moment.
See, and that's why you need friends.
You see? So silly.
No, I'm just saying, like, I think it's such an interesting prospect as a thing. And so, you know, getting back on topic, like teaching her how important it is going to be for her to make her choices and friends, right? And understanding that family will betray you.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really important to say. Like, blood will betray you. They'll talk about you. They'll pretend to be for you, and then some of them will really have your back, right?
Right.
But navigating those storms the same way with people you choose
Mm-hmm.
is just going to be really important. And I want to make sure as an individual, as a man, that I'm going to be okay going forward. If my daughter wants to be really good friends with these white girls out here in the streets, like, I think I'm just like, oh, we should have moved to College Park.
That's funny because my sister, my older sister, she connected with the white girls more than she did us, the black people, which is kind of crazy because I'm like, we grew up the same area. Like it was diverse, but she just happened to like go more to that, to Caucasians, and it's like her whole style is like around that. Like that's like for real. Like she wanted to like she said she wanted to be with a white guy, marry one day, and it's like it was kind of weird to me because I'm like,
why?
What's the reason? Like because we grew up and around the same. We grew up together. Like you're
But
3
did
years
y'all
older
sit
than
down
me.
and talk about the reason? Or do you find like
Yeah.
that's a hard question to ask? Oh, okay.
No, I ask questions. Well, her reasoning is because she feels like she, I guess, can relate more and get out of that person what she wants compared to being with a man like her, a black man. She's dated a black guy before, from my understanding. He was African, but it's like what she likes, their mannerism and all that stuff. That's her preference.
Okay, hold on.
But that was let me clear this up. That was years ago.
I get it.
Now it's like she's open.
But it's like, okay, you would for like, so now, okay, like this is so stereotypical of me, right? But like, they like, okay, so you say I want to date a black guy, then she would, I dated an African. They're usually a little bit more sterner than Afro Americans, like, just saying the blacks that live in America might have been a little bit more your speed. Like they
actually, based off her personality, it made sense that that guy that African dude, because they're different. Their mannerisms and everything is different from the black men here in America. Like it's different.
Yeah.
And I think that's
my brother-in-law is African.
Huh?
My brother-in-law is African.
Okay. Yes, it's like I think it's the idea of something different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Something out of what you're used to seeing and your norm. And I think that's probably what it is when it comes to her decision, her choice.
Hey, I mean, look, I respect all people's decisions and choices, right? I think that's the most important thing in life is that we have the decision to choose those that are going to be in our immediate surroundings and perspective, right? So when it comes down to a lot of this, again, for me, I will always pick water over blood.
Yeah.
Just based on choice, like just based on the choice. Because if you're both making the choice, it's hard to break that. Now, if it's a one-way street, then yeah, that's easy to mess up the trust and all of that. But I mean, like, if you're saying like, yo, I want to be your friend and you want to be my friend, right? If you have that where two people are choosing one another, yo, I mean, you got people that taking people's kids and they not even blood, or taking people to their home and they not even blood,
right?
Or bail them out of like financial situations and they not even blood, like, and they'll do that before blood will.
Right. True.
So, but I mean, it begs to go back to understanding that power of choice. And once we understand the power of choice, there's nothing more powerful.
Yeah. Having a choice. It's very powerful.
You don't get to choose when you come into this world.
Nope.
You don't get to choose who's going to be your cousin, your brother,
your mother, your father,
grandma, your mother, your father.
No.
All that is void of choice, right? All of it is void of choice. The minute that you become aware and you are able to make choices, whatever it may be, if it's a cousin, a sister, a brother, a mother, or a father, that bond becomes even stronger, right? But it's due
Right.
to the power of choice. And
Right.
to me, choice and water are one and the same. It is life's blood. Life's blood.
I like
So
that. That's true.
yeah, man. I mean, at the end of this, I think that's what it all boils down to.
It does. It does.
I don't think I got nothing else on the subject. That's what it boils down to.
That's all.
Choice is life's blood. That's my sign tag. Choice
Yeah.
is life's blood.
Choice is
And
life's
at the
blood.
end of the day, since choice equals water, water is now thicker than blood.
Ooh.
Debate me.
Oh, you're gonna get some debates, sir.
I can't wait. I can't wait. I can't wait. You got anything before we head out of here?
No, I mean you hit the nail on the head.
You
It
know,
all comes down to it.
it all comes
those
down
real
to
friendships.
choice. Choice, choice, choice.
Yep.
And it has been another episode of We Still Ain't Got Our Shit Together podcast. And I'm your boy, John Wayne Willis Jr.
And I'm your girl Manuela Cook.
And we out.
Bye.